So, you've got your media browser up here. This is where all of your footage is stored, all of your images are stored, all of your audio is stored. And we can just select different sections of that and take it down onto our timeline.
Okay.
So I'll just go with that. So we've already got one on here. You can move either a whole video or just a part of the video by selecting it and then just using the hand to drag it down, and I'll put it down at the bottom. Once you've got all of your clips lined up, to set the correct length of them, you can use this tool. I believe it's called the roll tool, and you can extend or decrease the length of an individual clip. Obviously, you'll hit a boundary at some point. You can't extend further than you actually film. Yeah, that's where the clip ends. If you layer your clips up here, whatever's on top is what's going to show up on your screen.
Okay.
Unless you crop it or something to kind of have a picture.
Is there a way of having both of them on the screen at the same time?
There is, and you can either have, let me just move this out of the way, put a clip above here. You can either have, use the transform tool, which is over here, and make them both small and put them side by side or however you want.
Okay.
Like this. Or, if the footage allows, you can keep it the full size, but you can use the crop tool. You can use the crop tool. Sometimes it moves instead of cropping.
Always the best option.
There we go. You can use the crop tool and just select the section that you want to show, and then use the transform tool to move it. You would only usually use this type of thing in some kind of montage footage if you're having lots of different things going on at the same time, or if it's just some kind of video explaining something. You wouldn't use it in film. It's almost never used in film. So that is extending and shortening and cropping images. You could also use the blade tool to extend or shorten. Just clip along and then select the area you don't want and delete it out here in backspace. Okay, so to add an effect onto a video clip, you've got an effects browser over here, one on the left. It's got tons of different kinds of effects in it. Obviously, there are some that will be quite useful, and there are some that will probably never ever be used. For example, I see no reason for anyone to ever use the scraping effect, but I'd be interested to see if anyone could use it in a good way. But yeah, there are absolutely tons and tons of effects on here. All you have to do is find whichever one you want. So we're going to go with 50s TV, and you can select it, drag it on top of your clip, and it will add that effect to the clip. Now you can change the parameters of an effect in your effects browser up on the top right. So you can change the amount that effect takes place, and you can, this particular one, you can change brightness. These parameters vary depending on which effect you put on there. So for example, if I put this bokeh effect on there, it adds particles onto the top of the video. But I can, up here, I can select what shapes the particles are, I can select how many there are, how big they are, and I can change to different patterns, I can change the speed of their movement.
So it just depends what effect you get?
Absolutely, yeah, and some of them have tons of parameters, like this has got quite a lot, whereas the 50s TV only has 2. So it just depends which one you use. But it's good that you can change those, because it means you can kind of make that effect exactly as you desire. If you wanted to copy that effect across lots of different videos, there's a quick way to do that. What you do is select your video, and then you can go to Edit, Copy, and then you can go select all of the other clips you want to copy to. And you can go to Edit, Paste, Attributes, and then select just the effects that you want to copy. So we can select them individually, or we can select all of that.
So you can add multiple effects to one clip to make it seem
Yeah, you can have tons of different
Yeah.
layers effectively. And now, if you have a look, all of our clips have got that 50s effect on top of them. So that's the quick way of adding effects. To add subtitles or titles in general, we won't use that clip because I've cropped that. Just give me that one. We'll use this one. There's a text or titles browser over here. Just select that. It gives you, again, tons of options, loads of things that you probably won't ever use. What I tend to do is just use a basic title and just click and drag it, just the same as the effect. And the reason I tend to use this is because you can change so many different things about a basic title. You can obviously type in whatever you want, so we'll call this example. But you can also you can change your font up here, tons of different fonts. You can change the style of your font. Then you can change the size. You can change, if you have multiple lines, you can change the line spacing. You can change the tracking.
Is there a way of adding like a custom font to it, or a font that you found online?
If you download the font and install it onto the Mac, close down Final Cut, reopen it, then
Will it automatically be there?
It should recognise that font because a font is kind of used across all applications once it's installed. But you can also change the face on here, so that means you can change the colour or the opacity, so you can make it see-through if you want. You can also keyframe a lot of these things, so if you wanted to make it so that your font faded onto the top, you can open your opacity here, you just right click and go to show video animation, and then you can either change the opacity completely or you can add a fade in and a fade out just by dragging these two small icons on the left and right. So if you watch now, it'll fade in and it'll fade out.
So is that how you'd add an effect to it then?
That's how I would add a fade to it.
Yeah, it's like a transition.
Yeah, effectively, yeah. I tend not to use the transition tools over here because most of them are really outdated. If you have a look at arrows, for example, and check a clone spin, I don't understand why anyone would ever use these.
What is clone spin?
It apparently duplicates the video and then makes it all weird and 3D. Sometimes a cross dissolve might work, but for the most part, if you plan your transitions ahead, so when you go and film, if you say, we're going to finish on this object and then we're going to start on a very similar object or a similar shape or a similar colour or something in a different location, then it adds kind of a natural transition.
Okay.
If you think about real life, we never actually see a cross dissolve with our eyes.
True.
We just look into a different direction, a different place, a different scene. So you want to try and replicate what a person might actually see in film. Okay, what else do you need to know?
How to add sound to a clip, and if I wanted to take sound from another clip.
Okay, so how to add sound would be, assuming that you've recorded separate audio and you need to synchronize those, what you would do is make sure that they're in your media browser up here. You would then drag it down onto the bottom. You should have some sound on this clip, but it looks like it's actually being detached. So what we'll do is just take a clip from a fresh one. That one's too short, so let's take a long one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. And you see there's a what we call a waveform down here. So that shows you where your peaks and troughs of audio are. So where it's louder and where it's quieter. What you would then do is take your recorded audio and you would try and match up those peaks and troughs together. Now, if you had done a clap at the beginning of the shot or used a clapperboard, then you'd be able to see where there's a clap, because it would show up wherever there's kind of a spike, and you'd be able to sync those up and then assume that the rest of it is in sync, but always check. Obviously, we haven't got audio to sync up with these particular clips because you can record external audio with these. So that's how you would sync them up. If you wanted to detach the audio, so you just use the audio from a video, you can right click, go to detach audio, and that will add an audio layer underneath. You can either remove that completely by selecting it and hit backspace, or you can move it to wherever you want it to go if you're create the sound effects but you've videoed it instead of just recording the audio or something.
Is there a way of attaching recorded audio to a clip?
Once you've synced it up, you can select the two clips and then right click and go to new compound clip. And what that will do is it will give you a clip that has compounded the audio and the video. It will ask you to name that, so if we just leave it as this for example, and now that audio has been attached to that video and we can watch it, and it's not going to make much sense because the audio is...
Okay.
So for example, but what you can do is also, if you wanted, you can select as many different parts as you want and turn those into a compound clip, and it'll join them all together.
So then you can make it all one thing, basically.
Yeah, so effectively, once you'd finished editing everything, if you were happy with it, I wouldn't recommend it, I'd just export it and keep your projects, but if you were happy with it, you could do that. I wouldn't recommend it because then if you wanted to come back and make changes later, you wouldn't be able to.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to undo all of those changes I've made, because the only way for you to learn is to try it out with yourself.
So, what should I do first?
What do you want to do?
I will. So that's the roll tool.
That's the
Doing
roll
that.
tool.
And then blade tool is that.
Yep.
Okay, so then that makes loads of new clips.
Well, not new clips, it
No,
just
but
divides the
divides one
Yeah,
clip.
it turns them into multiple.
Then if I wanted to add cross dissolve, your favourite transition, would I just drag it and then drop it there?
Drag it and drop it, that will add a dissolve in between the two videos. I never ever use any of those transitions. I would use opacity and just layer it up and create my own cross dissolve, because you have more availability to edit the length of it and all those kind of things.
So that would now
that cross dissolve, yeah.
Okay, and then I'm guessing the roll tool works just like that.
Yeah, it does.
So you can make it.
But it will only go a certain length. That's why I tend to not use it, because when it reaches a certain length, it will say you can't. There's not enough editable, not a large enough editable region or something like that.
Okay.
So I
You
tend
can make
to
it.
use
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Yes, you can make it really short or really fast.
And then if I wanted to put two clips on top of each other,
Yep.
I'd just drag it like that.
Yep.
Then I'd click transform.
So make sure you've got the clip selected and the playhead where the clip is.
So
Yep,
that's
that's
like that.
And now you've got the blue box.
I can just make it short like that, and then drag it around.
Yeah, so for example, I imagine this video that you're screen capturing, you're going to put onto this video.
Yeah. So
as
this
picture
one
in picture.
will be on there.
This one will be on here, not
Yeah.
this one on here.
That one on there.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
So that you'll actually have to do that. I wouldn't use a crop. I'd just keep them both.
Yeah, and
1080.
then put it in the corner bit. Okay, so that's transformed. Then if I wanted to attach audio, so I click it, that's selected, I click it like that, and then drag it, and right click, detach audio, and then if I wanted to delete it, I can get rid of it like that.
Yeah, you can get rid of it. What I would tend to do, if we just undo that for a second, sorry, commands because we're on a Mac. What I would tend to do, if I were just going to remove audio, I would use this line here
And just take it down.
just bring it all the way down, because what that does is it mutes it, but it means
then
that
you've
if,
still got it there.
yeah, if at any
Yeah.
point you decided you did want to use that audio, you've still got,
Okay.
it's still available. So that's what I would usually do, but it depends. If you know that you're never going to use it, so if it's a music video, you know you're never going to use the dialogue of the director shouting at the model,
okay.
then you can just delete it out.
So then if I want to add a effect to
Let's go with aged paper, because that's quite
very natural.
yeah. Well, it's just a very, because it's quite a strong one, you can really see it working.
So that will be it in this one.
Yep.
That.
There you go.
So then if I wanted to add that to other clips, I'm going to take off transform. If I wanted to add that to other clips, I would.
You can copy,
edit.
so edit copy or Command C will do the same thing.
Oh, will it?
Yep. The only reason I did edit copy was so they could see on the video.
What's the command for paste
Command
attributes?
V. Oh no, there's not
'Cause
command
I didn't
for paste
think that.
attributes.
So paste attributes like that, and paste.
Yep. Except you've pasted it onto
I
the
did,
video
yeah.
that you
I
got.
just realised.
So you want to paste it onto all of them. Oh, it turns out there is a command for paste attributes. It's Shift Command V.
There's always shift down. So like that, and now it's on every clip.
Yep.
But there's no audio. So then if I wanted to edit that, I'd just go like that.
Yeah, that'll give you the option to edit the amount. The only thing is, you can, if you select multiple of those, you can't edit all of them at the same time. So what you need to do is add
Edit
the
it
desired
first.
effect
Yeah.
on the first one, and then copy it.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't know why they don't give you the option to do that, but it's just
So
not.
the final thing would be if I wanted to add subtitles,
Text, yeah.
basic title, because you can do so much with it, and then
Absolutely.
and then and then that's over there like that.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to, what was it?
Show video animation,
So if I do that,
and then double click opacity.
then that fades it.
That's going
That-
to change the
like,
actual. Yeah.
that
overall-
fades it in.
That fades it.
Yeah. So I wanted to fade it in like that.
And then if you wanted to change the size or anything of the text, you
That's
can do
all
that
up
over
there.
this browser.
So make it bigger, and then tracking could be larger. And nice, basically.
The one thing that really annoys me about Final Cut, it doesn't allow you to keyframe the tracking. So if you
have
wanted to make a cool tracking effect where your text comes together, you would have to do each letter
yeah,
individually,
that'd be really
and
annoying.
then transform, keyframe the transformations.
So now that should be bigger. Like that.
Yeah.
And then it fade out. Yeah.
Perfect.
Great.
Good job.
Done.
Well done.